Hi everyone, because I'm going to have to talk about something which is going to make me really mad, I thought because it's a Monday, let's balance things out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give one of my recommendations again for a comic to pick up on Indiegogo. Now these are completely organic, by the way. I don't know the people involved in these books. I just like the look at them, and they are books which I have personally backed. And this one is Black and White Volume 1 Second Chance by Art Thibert. And this just looks like such an awesome comic that I could not resist. As soon as I saw the artwork for this, I was all in. With this one. And it's even got a Greg Capullo variant cover that you can pick up as well. And Greg Capullo is absolutely amazing and an artist. But if you scroll at some of this stuff, look at this. This just looks sensational. So just reading through, because once this finishes, this is a second chance campaign. This should be ready to ship pretty much instantaneously, I'd imagine. It does say September 2020 to actually fulfill the campaign. And you get little bits and pieces. I decided to go for some little bits and pieces as well. But there's 6 days left to run on this campaign. Black and White, Volume 1, Second Chance by Art Thibert. And this is just looking fantastic. So go check it out on Indiegogo. Now let's talk about Star Trek Lower Decks. Oh, God. Hi everyone, it's Az here from Heel vs. Babyface. Star Trek, it's one of my favourite franchises, but I really should say it used to be one of my favourite franchises of all time, because the current stuff is just trash, unmitigated trash. I was really pleased when they announced Star Trek Discovery. I was really pleased to have a Star Trek television show returning. But I was foolish and naive, because I actually thought that the people who were going to do it knew what the hell Star Trek was and stood for. But of course they didn't. And when Star Trek Discovery eventually found its way to our screens, I was just so gutted at what was put in front of us. And I desperately tried to watch the show. And I couldn't. I just couldn't. I got to the halfway through season 1 and I was done. I hated all of the characters. I hated the storylines. It didn't feel like Star Trek. It didn't act like Star Trek. It was just nihilistic, narcissistical show starring a bunch of horrible, unlikable, unrelatable characters. Okay, there's a Star Trek show which isn't for me. You know, a Star Trek fan. And then we got the announcement of Picard. And everyone is burnt because of STD. And that's the perfect initials for that show. Everyone's burnt. But we've got hope. Because do you know what? Star Trek is about hope. It's about a hopeful vision of the future. So even though we'd have this Kurtzman abomination, and even though Kurtzman was attached to Picard, the fool in me again, the fool in me said, maybe they'll get Picard right. They realised the mistakes that they made with Discovery. They'll try and get Picard right for true Star Trek fans. And the first episode came, and I quite liked the first episode because it suckered me in with the member berries. That's what it was intending to do. It was intending to manipulate me for the most part. Hey, remember this, remember that. Beautiful shots of the Enterprise D. Data making an appearance. The old costumes. All those little things which just kind of made you think, Star Trek. But no. It only ran for 10 episodes, the first season. And I couldn't make it past 7. Excuse me. And the thing is, I should have stopped after 5. Because I think the 5th episode in that series was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in Star Trek in my life. The most disgusting thing. And so I couldn't even make it to the final 3 episodes. I did watch small little bits of the final episode because I just wanted to see Riker on a bridge in a uniform. And then all these starships were exactly the same, so that was useless. I wanted to see the end scene between Picard and Data, and I was mortified at what I watched then. And I was just like, no, I did the right thing in dipping out. And then we've known for a while now that they're making this, the animated Lower Decks show. And I've always been nervous about this because this just doesn't feel like Star Trek. But I guess that's the whole point, isn't it? Is to stop making Star Trek feel like Star Trek. And so when they released the trailer for it yesterday, I should have been mad. I should have been mad. But you see, if you're mad, it means you care. And I was just mortified. No pun intended with the mort. And this trailer was a disaster. Pathetic. Puerile. Infantilism. There was not a single solitary funny joke in it. The characters come across as pathetic. The show comes across as pathetic. And I, again, have to ask the question that no doubt everybody is asking, and that is, who is this for? Now, Kurtzman has been said in the past that he wants to be able to get more kids into Star Trek. Well, guess what? When I was a kid, and I'm talking a young kid, 6, 7, 8 years of age, I was watching reruns of Star Trek, the original series. And it was fueling my imagination as a child. Fueling it. With fantasy and sci-fi and aliens and strange worlds and technologies. And the unexplained. Filling my mind full of wondrous tales. And then when I was not much older, Star Trek The Next Generation came about. And that became my everything. My favourite television show of all time. Again, they got the chemistry of the cast spot on. Absolutely spot on. And the stories and the locations and the enemies and the allies that they came across and the worlds and the situations they were put in. And the fact that virtually everything was a puzzle to be solved. Once again, fueled my imagination as a child. Fueled it. Fueled it to such a degree that here I am, a middle-aged man, loving the original series still. Loving Star Trek The Next Generation. So much so that I've ordered this crazy new thing coming from Sideshow next year. Naughty me. Whatever. That made me really go in and appreciate a slightly different spin on Star Trek with Deep Space Nine. And instead of taking that episodic type of show, although it did have episodic episodes, yes, did have a bit more long-form storytelling in it. And Discovery was fine. And Enterprise didn't quite hit the mark, but you realised when things started to go on the slide, and it was when Gene Roddenberry passed away. But regardless, there were still great shows. There were still entertaining shows in their own right. That's what I saw as a child. And that's what has inspired me in manhood to still be a fan of Star Trek. This isn't going to inspire anyone to like Star Trek in the future. This is going to put people off Star Trek. Not that it isn't dead and buried already after Kurtzman has annihilated it with his nihilistic shite. And the worst thing about everything, to me anyway, is never mind this being unfunny, never mind this just coming across as pathetic, Never mind me thinking, who the hell could possibly like this? Within a few hours, the like to dislike ratio got taken away and the comments got turned off. You don't even want to listen to people! The most valuable thing that you could possibly have is feedback. Feedback, but you don't care because you just want to force feed this garbage down people's throats. And guess what? Nobody's having it. And when I say nobody's having it, I'm talking about television. Because Netflix turned it down. And Amazon turned it down. And what do those two platforms have in common? Oh, yes. They both got a Kurtzman Star Trek show. Netflix got STD. And Amazon, they got Picard. And based off those shows, based off that Star Trek, that wonderful, successful, beloved Star Trek, I'm running out of parentheses around that as well, said no. No, thank you. Will pass. It doesn't have any international distribution rights. Nobody wants this shit. And you turn off the voices of people. You stick your fingers in your ears and you go, la, 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 la. We can't hear you. Because it's like funsies. Oh my God, she's putting the shields up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. So again, when you're not willing to listen to feedback, and by the way, Mecha Random, God bless her, managed to catch the like to dislike ratio before it got pulled. And even though the comments were pulled, the dislikes had overtaken the likes. God knows what it's like now. God knows what it's like now. Probably an absolute mess. But that's what people think of your show. That's what Netflix thinks of your show. That's what Amazon thinks of your show. And until we actually get somebody in charge of Star Trek that understands Star Trek and actually wants to produce something for Star Trek fans to watch, then this is possibly the final nail in the coffin. I was going to say I don't get it, but I do get it. I do get it. It's about the dismantling of everything that people have loved. It's about the disillusion of everything that people have loved. It's about being on the right side of history, so to speak. You need to hear my version. No. You need to listen to Gene Roddenberry. And you need to understand what Star Trek is actually about. And you have to appreciate that. Because you haven't got a fucking clue. Okay, folks. There we go. Hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up. And also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and YouTube for live streaming. Links are in the description box down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.